In Palestine, a new massacre by the Israeli occupation army after shelling a mosque in the center of the Gaza Strip kills 26 people. The Gaza Civil Defense Agency reported on Sunday that Israeli forces attacked a mosque-turned shelter in Deir al-Balah near Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital. The agency's spokesman Mahmoud Basal said that the attack was unannounced and that the Zionist regime aimed to kill more Palestinian civilians, including children, women, and elderly people. They also said that the collapsed hospital centers received dozens of critically wounded people. Since last October 7th, Israel has killed 41,825 Palestinians and wounded more than 96,000. The United Nations Children's Fund says over 100 children have been killed in Lebanon by the Israeli bombardments. According to health authorities, the Israeli escalation in Lebanon has claimed the lives of over 100 children and another 690 people have been wounded over the last month. They have also reported on over 400,000 children having been displaced from their homes. UNICEF warns that children are enduring both psychological and mental damage in the midst of the Israeli aggression. Therefore, UNICEF says it has activated some 50 shelters in Lebanon to support children affected by the bombings. And in Palestine, also more than 11,000 citizens were arrested in the last of 12-month incursions by the Israeli occupation forces. Organizations defending the rights of Palestinian prisoners warned that in the last hours, 15 citizens were arrested in the territories of Hebron, Bethlehem, Tulkarem, and Tubas. The organizations denounced that during the Israeli incursions, practices such as the destruction of houses, the mistreatment of citizens, and the extrajudicial assassinations are carried out. These actions are part of the expansionist policy of Tel Aviv in the occupied territories, which have intensified since October 7, 2023, and have left 741 citizens murdered at the hands of the army, the police, and the Israeli settlers. And also in Palestine, authorities report the collapse of the health system due to Israeli occupation attacks. Health officials report that out of 38 hospitals in the Gaza Strip, only 15 are still partially operational in the territory. They also state that since the beginning of the aggression by the Israeli forces, at least 986 members of the health sector have been killed. In addition, some 130 ambulances were out of service as a result of the Zionist army's incursions. On the other hand, the health authorities announced that the Israeli siege against Gaza has left almost 42,000 Palestinians killed and more than 96,000 wounded. And in the Vatican City, at the conclusion of his midday Angelus prayer, Pope Francis appeals for a ceasefire in the Middle East, a release of hostages, and facilitating humanitarian aid to those in need. The Pope turned to the great suffering of the people of Gaza and the other attacked territories. The Holy Father of the Catholic Church called for an immediate ceasefire on all fronts, including Lebanon, inviting the faithful in joining him in praying for the Lebanese people, especially for the inhabitants of the south who are forced to leave their villages. In this context, Pope Francis recalled that later in the day he will travel to Rome's Marian Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore to pray a rosary for peace.
This population is suffering tremendously in Gaza and other territories. These are mostly innocent civilians, people who need to receive the necessary humanitarian aid.
And in Spain, citizens demonstrate in the streets of Madrid to demand an end to trade relations with Israel and to condemn Israel's genocidal war against Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Protesters demanded the Spanish government to cease diplomatic and commercial relations with Israel. Spanish citizens also denounced the sale of arms to the Israeli occupation. Demonstrators denounced that the government of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu persecutes and murders the people of Gaza, while Europe remains silent. Demonstrations in Madrid take place one day before the one-year anniversary of the beginning of the Israeli aggression against Gaza. Also in the city of Barcelona, as in 50 other cities, citizens took to the streets to demand the end of the genocide against the Palestinian people. Demonstrators denounced the more than 76 years of Israeli colonization against the Palestinian territories and demand recognition of a free Palestine. Protests in Spain joined the acts of solidarity that the people of the world are holding 1 year after the escalation of Tel Aviv's siege against the Gaza Strip. Meanwhile, in Guatemala, citizens held a walk for peace a few hours before the one-year anniversary of the intensification of the Israeli genocide against Palestine. During the demonstration, participants made a call to the international community to defend justice, peace, and freedom for the Palestinian people. Demonstrators asked the government to take a position of rejection of the Israeli genocide and of support to the Palestinian cause. Demonstrators denounced that Tel Aviv has murdered more than 17,000 children, while it has left more than 26,000 orphans. Those attending the event recalled the active participation of Israel during the armed conflict in Guatemala. And in Israel, one person has been killed and another 10 people wounded at a shooting incident in the city of Beersheba. Authorities say the shooting occurred at 3 locations around a bus station. Police officers gunned down the shooter and deployed reconnaissance teams in search of other possible assailants. According to emergency respondents, several people with serious injuries were taken to the nearest hospital. Gun attacks in Israel have increased in recent weeks amid rising tensions over and rejection of the genocidal operation undertaken by the Israeli government in the Gaza Strip.